But anyways, I walked pretty much all the way out to the other side, and I crossed Roosevelt Island, and I walked. I didn't go all the way like down to the street on the Queens side, but I did walk until I was. When I looked down, I was over top of Queens, and then I came back, and then I unlocked my bike. And by this point, it was like 4:10 in the afternoon, and the late show they told me to be there at 5. So I was thinking, well, what should I do now? And I also realized that going to a show like that, they might want you to dress up. And I had thought about that ahead of time, and when I came, I packed like a collared shirt, like a golf shirt, and I packed like some dress pants. I figured that's what I'd wear when I went to the late show. But here I am at 59th Street, right at the 59th Street Bridge, far, far away from my hotel, and I've got 50 minutes before I'm supposed to be at the late show. And I had to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to stand in line with my shorts and t-shirt, or am I going to rush home and change and hope I can get there in time, hope no mechanical problems happen with my bike or anything like that, or what am I going to do? So I decided, well, it's a standby line. I figured, if I'm wearing shorts and t-shirt, they probably will be less likely to want to admit me to the theater. I figured, wearing the nicer clothes would give me some extra brownie points and maybe give me a better chance of getting in. So I decided that I would go back home, but for whatever reason, the route that I decided to take actually took me right past, right down 53rd Street, right beside the Ed Sullivan Theatre. And, I kind of wanted to see it, and I don't remember if I specifically planned on going that way, but I ended up taking that route, and I went right past, and, huge, huge crowds of people standing outside the theater, I guess probably waiting to get inside, and, I thought, okay, well, let's stop and wait. Maybe I should look at what the other people are wearing to see whether I'm just getting paranoid about what I should wear. And I looked, and so many other people were wearing shorts and t-shirts that I decided that, okay, it's fine to wear what I'm wearing. And so I was there at like 4:20 or something, and so I had like 40 minutes until the show started, so plenty of time to be waiting at the corner by 5 o'clock. But I needed something to eat, of course, so I went into the Hello Deli, which was open this time, and I went inside, and it was, just like on TV. I could see through the window that Rupert Jee was inside. Rupert Jee he owns that deli, which is a deli that's right actually in the Ed Sullivan Theatre. It's built as a storefront into that theater. And Rupert has been featured on the Late Show. He used to be featured like at least every week on the Late Show. David Letterman would take the camera in there to get Rupert to like take a person out from on the street into his deli, and then he'd ask him questions, and Letterman would make jokes to him across via the camera. That Letterman would never go over to the theater. So of course I wanted to go in there and meet Rupert, and that's where I got my dinner. I had it's a deli, so it serves lots of different sandwiches and hot dogs and stuff like that. And he names the sandwiches after famous people. So the one that I chose was called the Paul Schaefer sandwich, which was a chicken sandwich, like a fried chicken sort of sandwich, which was pretty good. But it was really cool, like, meeting Rupert, though. He seems exactly the way that he seems on TV. Like, he's kind of a quiet guy, and he makes, he's got a little bit of a witty sense of humor. He'll make jokes, and, well, when I walked in, I thought I'd kind of be nervous, because to me, Rupert seemed like someone that I already knew. Like, I felt like I'd seen him so many times that, I knew him, and of course, you kind of think when you know someone that they know you, too. You could kind of just walk in and say, oh, hi, Rupert, how are you? And, you're already friends, but, so I kind of thought about, like, what I was going to say when I walked in first, to sort of, I didn't want to freak him out or anything, but I decided when I walked in, I'd say, it looks bigger on TV in here, and, so that's what I said, and Rupert said, he didn't laugh or anything, and he probably heard that line lots of times, but he just said, I wish it was. And after I got inside, I realized that it really, really, really was really small in there, and it was really crowded full of people that were just hanging out in the Hello Deli. And so I ordered my sandwich, and I couldn't find anywhere to sit with a table. Like it was just full of all these young girls, and I didn't know what the young girls were waiting for. I figured that maybe the guest that was coming on tonight was somebody that somebody that a lot of 13-year-old girls liked. Or whatever, but I really wasn't sure what was going on, and Rupert didn't know, and, once he sat down in the deli, Rupert sort of starts the conversation with you, and he's happy to answer any of your questions, So I asked them. I actually asked them the question about the roof when they throw stuff off the roof. Where they did it, and I asked him, and he told me it was exactly where I guessed that it was the other day when I was there. So that was good to have that question answered, and I shook Rupert's hand. That was pretty cool, and yeah, it was cool. I spent like half an hour hanging out with Rupert. So I finished my sandwich by like 4:45 or so, and then I went and stood on the corner where I was supposed to go, and I kind of stood and looked around and didn't see anyone. But I knew it was still early, but I went and talked to one of the staff members that was standing near the main entrance of the studio, and I asked them about where I was supposed to stand, and he told me exactly the same thing. And I saw a little sign that said "Late Show Standby," so I just stood there and waited. And there's other people there that were standbys too, and I kind of struck up a conversation with them. And I asked them what numbers they were, and the people that I were talking to was number 5 and number 6. So they called right before I called. So I just kept waiting, and then finally someone from Late Show came over, and then he got us to line up in the order that we were in, that they had told us we were in. So I was number 7, and the people that I already talked to were number 5 and number 6. And then we had to wait quite a while. They kept saying that we're running behind schedule. Usually we have more time than this, blah blah blah. And eventually, so we were just standing in line. At this point, I still had no idea whether I was going to get on the show or not, because there was no guarantee, and there were so many people that it seemed like this wasn't maybe on a rainy day they have a lot of people that don't show up or something, but there just seemed like so many people I couldn't imagine that there'd be empty seats. But sure enough, he started at number 1, and he walked down. He had a certain number of tickets, and he got to number 7, and he still had lots of tickets. So he gave me one, and he said, "Congratulations, you're on the show." So very, very excited about that. Had a ticket in my hand that said "The Late Show" with David Letterman, and had a little number on it and stuff. And I had a ticket to The Late Show. So he told me, he wrote the word "red" on the ticket, which meant I had to wait at a certain spot on the street. So I went and did that, and again, I asked the person where I was supposed to stand, and they kept telling me that they were running behind schedule and blah, blah, blah. And finally, I got in the lineup that needed to be in, and they filed us all through. And you have to go through quite a big inspection to get into the theater. You have to go through a metal detector, and they also have a dog that was standing there that was sniffing people as they walked past. I don't know whether they were sniffing for explosives or maybe even food, because you're not allowed to have food in that theater either. And I couldn't take my backpack in, and they didn't really have anywhere for me to lock it up or anything. They just, when I got to the metal detector, they just said, "You can't take your backpack in, but we'll take it here." And they just kind of took it from my hand, and then I never saw it again until the end of the show. But it was where I left it, so that was fine. But it turned out that the seat that I got was up on the balcony. Which is, there's quite a lot of seats on the main floor, which is right where the stage is. The stage isn't really like elevated or anything. It's just the stage it comes across, and then the seats slowly go up, and then on top of that there's this big balcony, which is kind of the nosebleeds. You don't really get to see quite as good an angle as everyone else does. But that was fine. I mean, I got to be on the show, and that's really all I cared about. Where they put me was kind of like towards the right side of the balcony, like I was on the aisle. Like there's like maybe 4 or 5 seats to my right, and then an aisle, and then there was my seat, and then there was many more seats to my left. The right where I was sitting, so I was right kind of on the right side where the David Letterman's desk is. But right in front of his desk, they've got these big lights that are right there that are hanging from the ceiling, and they pretty much cover almost all of the desk, so you can't actually see that part very well. But there's a little monitor, and you can see it, and well, that was fine. I really didn't care about the angle I got to see. I was in that theater, and I got to see it firsthand, and that's really all I cared about. So when we were filing into theater, no one really